Spent in a miserable way.
U.S. News. Could Howard Schultz be the common ground we need? The Washington Post. That terrible roar you hear, rumbling from coast to coast, is the collective anguish of the Democratic Party. Democrats are way. Schultz is a liberal guy, you too fiscally restrained for the progressives, perhaps, but definitely more left than right. Historically, but there's a case to be made that Schultz, you or Michael Bloomberg or some other pragmatic centrist with enough money and time on their hands, you might actually be the best host for avoiding Trump. Part 2. Ordinarily, the case for an independent run starts with Trump, the wildly polarizing figure who has exiled many moderate Republicans from their own party. But it proceeds. Collectively, those Democrats seem to be homing in on a campaign platform of effectively open borders, combined with a Scandinavian-style welfare state and much higher taxes on the ultra-rich. Even if you think that what the progressive base wants, you a European-style welfare state that would cost roughly as gross domestic product you cannot be paid for by taxing the 1%, who collectively take home between 1/4 of national income. Can those people, the fantasy math that progressive politicians employ to obscure this fact, may fool a devoted base that wants to believe in the vision? It will not concede it. The sharp Democratic leftward lurch might hand Trump an opportunity to run toward his base, in turn prompting progressive Democrats to run even further left. If the resulting rate, the idea that America is locked into a two-party system assumes that at least one of those parties will try to capture the center. If both parties, very culturally liberal, but business-friendly and fiscally prudent, sounds like political heaven to a certain portion of the electorate. A small portion, religious voters, might well be happier with a candidate less shamelessly concupiscent than Trump, but only if that candidate shows enough tolerance for social conservatives to make credible promises. On the left, even better, the candidate might try to take a little from column A and a little from column B. Consider how you taught the gay marriage question while everyone else was screaming at one another. Utah quietly forged a compromise that protected LGBTQ rights in employment and housing while carving out generous exemptions for religious beliefs. It did satisfy. Much of the country apparently prefers total, but only apparently. Could Schultz be the candidate who actually finds the country some common ground? Well, he did. Read more from, or read more. We are a participant in the Amazon Services LLC Associates Program, an affiliate advertising program designed to provide a means for us to earn fees by linking to Amazon.com and affiliated sites.
Raindrop, drop top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.